right, so Jackson, you thought this was going to be an easy side hustle, easy money, but it's proving to be a little more difficult than you anticipated.
I wouldn't say I expected it to be easy, but I didn't expect it to be so hard, I think.
Okay.
So I came on here talking about how I wanted to kind of get into maybe a side hustle, maybe it could turn into something bigger, but just at least dip my toe in the water and see how it went. And that's into the entire world of voiceover work and voice acting, right? I have no formal acting training. I have no formal any training of any of the matter of any media that I've done, obviously. And so I was like, what's the harm in at least trying? So I reached out to some people. I talked to Kaylee, who's done some voiceover work. Mo, I reached out to your boy Keon, who has also done a lot of voiceover work. And so I was sort of getting the lay of the land, doing some research online. And before I got too ahead of myself, everyone was basically saying it's important that you get some formal training before you actually create a demo and get yourself out there and try and start booking spots for yourself.
That's
right?
what you've been training your whole life if you've been talking?
That's what I figured. I was like, why am I about to pay someone $150 for an hour of training when I've been talking for the better part of my entire life?
Right.
And so I was like, okay, let's listen to what the internet says, because this is like a very common thing that everybody is saying to do. So I book a 1 hour consultation first with someone just to get the lay of the land, have him kind of talk me through what the journey generally looks like. And he gave me all sorts of good advice, but the main thing was that he is a character voiceover artist. And he's like, it's very good for you to start in commercial. That is like kind of the good way to get your feet wet with this. And then you can start taking acting and improv classes and things like that. And that's when you can get into the world of acting.
We're going to hear you in like a Kohl's commercial.
Literally, right?
Do you want some Kohl's cash?
That'd be even worse if he makes it and then you put on your next steamy audiobook and then you hear
God, no.
Jackson's voice.
Do not even put that into the universe.
I have goals now. Thank you, Cassie.
You're welcome.
And it's funny because voiceover work also is like people do, you know, the automated voice line that you hear when you call AT&T and you just get like what you think is a robot on the other end. Someone actually voices all that stuff. So there's a whole world to this thing. And so finally the guy recommends me to another coach who specifically is very good at commercial voice acting stuff. And so I take my first lesson with him. And again, I'm like fairly confident in this. I'm like, I didn't read some lines. I've seen ad copy before. Like, you know, I've heard Bert and you, Kristen, and everyone in here cut commercials before. I was like, this seems pretty easy, right? And so immediately we start and the guy gives me a script and he goes, I don't want you to think about this one too much. Just like do whatever process you think is right and like just go for the read, right? And in my head, the only thing I was thinking of was like these super dramatic commercials. Your like Sunday kind of commercial, right?
Monster Jam.
Exactly. I had Monster Jam in my head, so I decided to read the ad kind of like that. But it was a vitamin commercial that I was reading. And
Get your vitamins now.
Yeah, literally. And I don't know why that like took over in my head. And he was like, I totally get where you're coming from. This is a very common mistake that people make is they have sort of this voice in the back of their head of what you think you should sound like based on these commercials that have stood out to you in the past. When really it's more about finding your authentic voice and projecting that out into the world.
Well, if I heard a vitamin voice like that, I would be like, I'm not taking those vitamins because I don't want to be that jacked up, man.
What if you do, though?
Well, I think that's a small subset. I don't know if that's really what they're going for.
You're right. And so I was taking all this in and I was realizing that there's so much more to this. And obviously I have the utmost respect for so many of these people that do this and that's their craft that they've been honing for decades. But like for me to just come in and be like, I just got to read some words, like how hard could that possibly be? Turns out harder than you think.
But you did do a class and then you did some reads.
Exactly. So right now I've been doing a lot, like I've been practicing just reading out loud for like 15 to 30 minutes every day.
Oh, I'm sure your girlfriend loves that.
Oh, she hates it. Absolutely. I lock myself in my closet and do it because that's the only place where I can get some peace and quiet or I go for a walk. And so
so then you're just walking around out in public talking to yourself.
Yeah, I look like a psychopath.
The psycho with the needle at his back.
Absolutely.
The Bert Show.